Damn, man, I ran out of space. I had to clear some space off, man. Lost my fucking vibe, dog. Shit. What the BLS is, it is the labor participation rate. So that's what we were talking about, the labor participation rate. So they say the labor participation. So they say we're gonna say the LPR. The LPR is affected much less by short-term job creation and much more by long-term demographic trends, right? So it's not to say that it's not affected by short-term job creation, but it's much less affected and much more affected by the amount of people that are in the workforce and the type of people. You have to remember, the baby boomers was one of the largest generations, you know, and they had the war on their side to help them in that economy. We've tried the same thing now, but it's not necessarily working with these newer generations. But that's what Reagan had on his side. He had that, all of that. So now Barack Obama has to deal with that aging population. So they're not adding to, now they're at the time of their lives where they're taking from it. And he's still able, even with all that going against him, Barack Obama has been able to effectively, cancel out the labor participation rate and its unintended consequences. So basically what this is also saying, again, is that this is not a hidden rate. A lot of people want to make the argument that the labor participation rate is kind of like this unseen. It's like the people who are not participating, we don't know who they are, but we're not counting them. This says, as the chart shows, the difference between reported unemployment and all unemployment, which is what the argument that people make against the economy doing, you know, the numbers that show it's doing well. That's the argument that those people make. They're saying, again, the difference between reported unemployment and all unemployment, including those on the fringe of the workforce, has been pretty constant since 1994. But again, this goes back to the point that that is being taken into account. So the next part is economic growth, including manufacturing, is driving jobs. Now this one's a little bit more complicated. It has to deal with like like an index that they use to measure how well manufacturing is going. So what they're saying is when Barack Obama took office, we were shipping a lot of jobs overseas. You know, a lot of that is through Clinton and his policies, but that's kind of what we were into. Like we were kind of in the headwinds doing a lot of that, which is why a lot of the economy also got hurt here, is because we were shipping so many jobs overseas. So what they're saying is, so that index is called the Purchasing Managers Index. That's the PMI. That basically shows how well manufacturing is doing. They said that index has shown 63 straight months of economic expansion and 25 consecutive months of manufacturing expansion. So what they said is this is the highest level since April 2004, 5 years prior to Obama becoming president. This is when we were doing pretty well. We weren't doing like extremely well, but this was before we got into the deep recession that we're still in right now. And then the last part is basically saying, let me try to wrap this up. The last part is saying how the last 15 months have shown that investors are also benefiting. So not only are, you know, overall the economy being stimulated, but investors are doing extremely well. So let me tell you a little something about why they're doing well. The stock market has converted the long-term growth in jobs and GDP into additional gains for investors. Recently, the S&P has crested 2,000, reaching new all-time highs. Yeah, this guy talks about how a lot of people are into, all Americans are somehow involved, especially through your workplace, through your 401k and all those, and the pensions. You are involved in the stock market. So they say, the last thing I want to say is, he says, as this chart shows, over the first 67 months of their presidencies, there was a clear winner from an investor's viewpoint. $1 invested when Reagan assumed the presidency would have yielded a staggering 190% return. Such returns were unheard of prior to his leadership. However, it is undeniable that President Obama has surpassed the previous president. Investors have gained a remarkable 220% over the last 5.5 years. So if you're an investor, you like Obama. So the last thing I want to say is, why aren't the banks investing? Why are the governments not doing what they can to invest? Like, we are doing a lot better than we were before the recession, but they're almost acting as though we're still in a recession. They're still not lending. You know, I know the interest rates changed recently from the Federal Reserve, but there still is this overall feeling of the economy's not really doing well, so people aren't investing. And people are still a little, wishy-washy when it comes to, investing in stocks and all that. So, yeah, another point I want to make is, like, Barack Obama, this also goes to show that Barack Obama, like, it's kind of what some people did fear about him, is that he was a very much, maybe too good with Wall Street and too close to the banks and too close to, a lot of strong economic interests. Because people wanted him to focus more on like social issues, because a lot of times those things clash. So people had an issue, myself included, with his closeness with the banks and the economy. But this is kind of showing, I guess, the benefits of that. I still feel that too many times that we as people got hurt from his close relationship with the banks and Wall Street. And I think that took away a lot of our rights. I think that took away a lot of opportunity that we could have had to really drastically change this country. But I guess if there is any positive that does come out of it, the economy overall is better. But this also goes to show that people say that, like, like a lot of times, like, the major corporations on Wall Street will threaten us and say, well, if you don't give us what we want, we'll pull out of the economy and the economy will fall. But the economy is doing well, and look, they're still not investing in the economy. So what does that really say about, who they are and what they're about? Because they could help the economy for a lot of people. But right now, they're not doing it. They're not investing back in America right now. They're not investing back in the country that helped give them rich. So overall, what that also goes to show is that they're not going to invest unless they want to invest. It's not really wholly dependent on the economy. I mean, of course the economy has something to do with it, but they're going to do what they want to do. So leave that there. That ran on long, but let me know what you guys think, and that's it.